Hello, geometry classes. This is week 5, talking about parallelograms. Just a quick run through of a couple of the examples that you'll see on your notes found in your Google Classroom. I hope everybody's doing good. Like I said, I'm going to try to do this fairly quickly. But we're talking about parallelograms. It's quadrilateral. That just means it has 4 sides. But a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with both pairs of opposite sides equal. And so there are several different properties. I'm going to try to hit all of them with these couple of examples that you see in your notes. So basically these properties of parallelograms set up the algebra. So looking at these blue ones, x plus 6, 13. Those are opposite sides. They are equal. So that's our algebra. X plus 6 equals the 13. And we solve. One of the other properties is the opposite angles are congruent to each other. So this 68 degrees here and this angle y, they're equal. So y equals 68. And it is going to be degrees. Okay, that's 2 of the properties. Opposite sides are congruent. Both pairs of opposite sides congruent. Both pairs of opposite angles. So angle angle G and angle J would be also congruent. All right. With this picture, this is example 2 found in your notes. We have some diagonals drawn in. So in a parallelogram, the diagonals bisect each other. So that basically means this is a midpoint for both diagonals. So that means this 12 minus n is the same length as the 2n. And we would solve for n that way. Since this is a midpoint of both the diagonals, the red ones, 3m is the same thing as the 15. And again, we can solve for m. Now, these green angles, these are not opposite angles. So, another property of parallelograms. These are called consecutive angles. As we kind of move around the parallelogram, just doesn't matter which direction, as you move around, you hit 2 angles. This angle S, the whole thing, and this whole angle R. Those are consecutive angles. They are supplementary. So what that means is, I'm going to distribute this. The 5, I'm going to distribute that into here. So this 5x plus 5, when you add it to this whole angle of 2x, you get 180. Consecutive angles of a parallelogram are supplementary. Again, we can solve for x that way. All right. That's how we do these. Again, just the basic algebra to solve these things. But the properties do the setup. All right, example 4 is a proof. So, what you are trying to prove in this one is that these 2 triangles, this triangle CDB and this top triangle ABD, that those 2 triangles are congruent. And all you're given is that this whole thing, ABCD, is a parallelogram. There are lots of ways to do this proof. The way that's kind of already started in your notes is going with opposite sides congruent. So it says side AB is congruent to side CD. The reasoning is just it's a property of a parallelogram. That's all you got to put. Or you could put opposite sides of parallelogram congruent. But that's one pair of opposite sides. We also know this pair of opposite sides are congruent for the same reason. And again, we got lots of different ways we could go to prove these 2 triangles are congruent to each other. But the way this proof has already kind of been set up is that this segment BD, it's congruent to itself. That's called the reflexive property. So when you look at these 2 triangles, we have 3 pairs of sides congruent. So the reason these 2 triangles are congruent is side, side, side. That is it. These are your main properties of parallelograms. I hope everybody's doing great. Keep up the good work. Bye.